Grand Chief Stewart say this morning that he has 15 grandchildren. I have 27 grandchildren, and one more on the way, so I'll have 28 grandchildren. So there's a lot at stake here. And I'm like Grand Chief Stewart, it is about them and the future, their future. I'm not yet a great-grandparent, but I know that's coming soon. And I'm still behind my friend over here. I won't tease you. But, and it's good to see my brother Art here. He's been very active in the movement for many, many years, along with Ellen and along with Danica here, one of our young lawyers, legal minds, and proponents of our international rights. I'm not going to take too much of your time. Willie and I were reflecting on this just the other day. I was lucky, New Year's Day, I got to sweat with my brother Willie, and we were praying about this and reflecting on back to 1982. I think there's very few of us that are still around that were at that first meeting at the working group. And he was saying that he remains in contact with people. And it was very shortly after that that we worked on preparing a resolution and then taking that through the process, because that's the way things happen at the United Nations. And when we first went there, there was no formula that we had to follow. We kind of had to do things and I guess just set standards, I guess new standards on how things are done, because it was the first time that Indigenous peoples were really totally involved in that process. And I'm glad to say that I learned a lot from people like Wilton Rulechild, late Edwin Bernstick Sr., and many others that have went up to the spirit world since that time. Elders, learned people that were very instrumental in what we're talking about here today, the UN Declaration. And I applaud each and every one of you for taking up the torch and standing up and being counted, because just by being here already you're going to be under the watchful eye of a lot of organizations, including maybe your own leadership. But I think it's up to people like you to take that step, because the status quo is just not acceptable anymore. The way of business as usual is going to take us where we don't want to go. And I was glad to see that this film called This Changes Everything is on the agenda, I believe this evening. And I encourage all of you to go ahead and watch it, read the book. It's very, very awesome. And it brings it home right to the community level, because it's not only here, it's all around the world that it affects all of us. And in doing the work on the UN Declaration, it was a very daunting task, because we knew that the framework that we were working in is not of our own making. We couldn't vote. And then right from the beginning, they told us that, oh, we'll sit here with you, and this is Canada, United States, New Zealand, Australia. They called the Kansas group. They would sit down across the table from us and they would say, okay, you can have your say. We'll make this change, that change. But when it gets to the next level, then we're going to make the changes that we want. And earlier on we said, no, that can't happen, because if you're going to be talking about us, we need to be in the room. We need to be present. And a lot of people like Willie, different ones, Sharon, Ben, took a very strong stand. They insisted that if you're going to talk about the rights of Indigenous peoples, then they have to be engaged. They have to be meaningful participants. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and I see my time is running out, but with regard to the UN Declaration and what's being talked about here today, climate change, the environment, I think as much as we could, we tried to be as strong as we could in the language that we put in place. And as I was telling this young leader, Ben, from Kihun Cree Nation, it wasn't easy work. We were sitting across from the interests that just didn't want to have anything to do with Indigenous rights. So it was a lot of give and take. And many people have told you prior to this that what we achieved was not everything we wanted. It was the floor. And I think it's up to us as people that work in this area to build on that. And within the OAS framework, we tried to do that. And one area that Chief Littlechild was able to improve on was the area regarding treaties. And I happened to be at that meeting at the OAS. And it's kind of funny how things happen sometimes. Many things don't happen right in the meeting room, out in the hallway, wherever you lobby these different government representatives, whether they be ambassadors or whatever, and that's exactly what Wilton did. And I sure learned a lot from him and continue to do so. So I won't say too much more, but I believe with regard to this subject here, I wouldn't be mistaken to say that I think I was the first person to make an intervention on the tar sands at the United Nations. That time already things were happening that were very questionable to the elders and the leaders in our territory about what was happening, the lack of consultation and respect. It used to be there when the older people were around, but when the older people passed away and the next generation came, that level of respect did not remain. And I'll close in saying that when I was a young person, and that's not that long ago, I'm not old yet. Hey, brother. In my territory, you could almost go anywhere, and you could drink from any body of water. And there was places out there I'm sure nobody has ever been, and beautiful places, habitat, something life-sustaining, medicines, areas where you just enjoy the natural beauty. You go out there today, I don't know if there's 1 square inch that they haven't touched. And these people, they go 24/7. No respect, never put anything back, don't even say thank you. And that's where it's gotten us today. So I won't say too much more. I just wanted to thank you for your time and thank you for listening to me. Hi, hi.